Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
I'm not trying to sound nihilistic on purpose, but doesn't it feel like humanity as its original concept is kind of going away? It's just that I watch older movies and they show humanity and the human condition and creativity and passion in ways that I feel like aren't very comparable to what it's like for more recent generations today. Maybe it just feels like that because of social media, and maybe we were always like this and it's just easier to see now. Or maybe it really has just become more, for lack of a better word, degenerate. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking, but people just seem less genuine and meaningful anymore. I'm not good at putting my thoughts and feelings into words. I know movies aren't the best thing to base these feelings off of, but I don't know. I just see older stuff, 2000s all the way back to the early 1900s, and just feel like there was more humanity then. And humility, I guess.
I've had the same thought, and I feel like the internet is accelerating it. Even if you don't have other people around physically, the internet has created a virtual population density where you're always in contact with others.
OP here. I guess basically what I'm trying to say is people don't feel like people as much anymore. I'm not saying I'm some kind of paragon of humanity. I'm absolutely not. But something about people born in the last 20 years just seems off. I'm only 28. I'm not trying to sound like old man yells at cloud, or like kids these days. But yeah, I don't know.
People feel different because they have grown to have different illusory expectations of reality. For the first time in recorded human history, we are living in a plentifully globalized world, not just interconnected tribes with limited exchange, but a philosophical and practical stance that aims for absolute commonality. You mentioned media, movies, social sites as examples, but it is precisely in those we can observe the symptoms of such a world. Before, most authors would think and produce with a set expectation of audience size in mind. If you live in a pre-internet world, you're not going to write a novel or screenplay aiming the reception at the other side of the planet. You'll create your stories according to an audience in mind that will fully realize your creativity within their minds. In contrast, contemporary creative minds are haunted by their own expectations. Why write something only 20 local people will read if you could have thousands and millions of readers abroad? Spice it up with corporatism, and now you're no longer writing for the creative process. You're doing so to appeal to the overseas markets, and thus have to produce something that will fulfill the creative needs of billions across the globe. A lot of what plagues the modern industry comes from this. Everything has to be sanitized so the markets gather the most amount of viewers, even if these are not getting the most fulfilling experience. You're hearing stories with morals and ideals that you have no relation with, while having an extremely diluted consumption of the creative products. When was the last time you felt fulfilled after watching a movie? On the other hand, how many times did you feel like it could have been much better? That there were missed opportunities, or that the plot didn't connect fully? That the creativity didn't fully realize itself? Apply the same logic to everyday life and you'll realize how far this goes. Remember when social media was initially marketed as an online photo book in which you'd save some cool moments and occasionally talk with distant family? Well, this local fulfillment transformed into nigh universal social sites that allow us to see different realities to our own. You can now search, if not being directly forced by algorithms and strangers, how shitty good life can be for X, Y, Z, doesn't matter how distant they are. The average person's expectation for life has been completely altered according to the various conflicting realities they encounter inside their phones, all while being given the illusion that such distinctions hinder a globalized world. We are now led to believe this world has common limits that have been reached by others, which means you are lower to them so long as you don't do it too. This is not just in terms of career and money, it applies to everything. Your love life? X has had 30 dates this week. Your importance? Y has 1 million followers. Your health? Z trains twice every day. Everything is now faced towards the impossible goal of reaching the top against billions of competitors. whereas the top trickles down diluted movements to appeal to these incoherent masses that feed the dream and power. You see this with the media becoming sanitized. But how about politics? When was the last time, if ever, that you voted for someone who truly represents what you think, and that would act accordingly, as opposed to picking the least worst option that has been selected by the majority? This lack of satisfaction due to a complete disconnect with reality has led the new generations into infinite scrolling, brain rot, and complacence. They hate social media, but they won't uninstall it because there's a very small possibility they'll see a single video/post/reel that feeds their starving satisfaction, but it will never be enough.
If it gives you hope. The Zoomers also feel this problem. Some things that many couldn't even experience are making a return in trends like Y2K, GeoCities, and Hey Space. This might not seem impressive, but really think about it. Most barely experience the 2000s, but they find the optimism and genuinity something worth pursuing, even if they have to put the work. There are many systems forcing our current situation, but still people want something genuine.
It's social media, the internet, and mass entertainment. What did you do before these things for fun? You'd either read at home, do a puzzle, play some little game or something. But most likely you'd do none of these and instead walk over to some friends and family and talk to them. Humans are so extremely social that it's normal to talk for literally hours a day telling stories back and forth. What happened? Socializing and storytelling was replaced by technology that was easier. You can still find old people who are tech illiterate who will talk for hours about this one thing that happened to them, the same story they've told 100 times. But this is fairly normal for people to do. Pretty much all information before mass media was shared through storytelling. That's essentially what movies are, just in a lower effort form. Everything is a competition too, because of the competitive effect that social media causes. Before this, people would live subsistence lives and not think about it at all. It was just normal to have the same amount of money and possessions as your neighbors. You go online and see they have more. Even if you don't care about that thing, they certainly will. And they'll judge you for completely made-up things because they saw someone with something better.
Saw a USSR documentary video today. 1988. Everyone looks more normal, the way I remember people in the pre-internet era. Except for one girl in an unofficial fashion show held in an apartment. These were beautiful young people, sons and daughters of party officials, doing the catwalk thing. This girl was beautiful, was used to gazing at cameras, was conscious of her own beauty. Her eyes were like the eyes of all girls today, vain and self-conscious. Phones with cameras are mirrors. We all carry mirrors in our pockets now. We're all in love with our own reflections. With sites like Twitter, it's cerebral narcissism, rather than looks-related, but it's the same thing. Look how smart I am. Social media breeds narcissism, and narcissism is evil, which I think is why the pre-internet era feels more innocent and authentic.
Social media is driving our species insane. Take an animal that has not significantly changed in thousands of years. No, the reason for that stagnancy is the animal's ability to create constantly improving, increasingly intricate tools that evolve for them. Now take that animal that has been designed by nature and trial and error and environmental influences to behave in small, multifamily tribal units. Then throw social media at them. Have every other animal screaming at them at once. Constantly trying to slip each other up. Constantly trying to be more interacted with by more animals. Constantly bombarding each other with meaningless aggression, suspicion, outrage, and stupidity. How could such an animal ever be expected to continue to function normally? The theory I put forward is this. As human technology and its evolution replaced our own, it has reached a tipping point where convenience has become self-sabotage. Something that is only going to gather speed and severity as more AI takes control of the design and production out of human input and control. We were never meant to deal with the constant influx of sheer noise social media, advertising and marketing foists on us every waking hour of the day for the majority of the population. As a biological life form, we are not built to operate under such stresses long-term. I believe the long-term effects can only be detrimental, and we have come too far to step back, and this can only get worse.
I don't think it's some sort of conspiracy. I think it's just an unfortunate side effect of living right now. In the future, our basic needs will be taken care of automatically so that we can focus on larger problems, like colonizing a new galaxy. We're currently in an era where we are building the tools that will help us build things later. We are the developer tools generation. Of course, this is assuming we continue moving forward with progress. I think my biggest worry is that humanity as a whole is becoming way too complacent safe and will not want to go back to risking their safety and comfort for adventure and knowledge.
It's intentional. The silent weapon for quiet wars. Literally explained in detail in Behold a Pale Horse, 2nd chapter.
Reminder that, much like McCarthy, Kojima's Metal Gear Solid 2 predictions were technically wrong, but only because he in his wildest dreams could never guess how bad it really is, or how much worse it will be. We're past the point of no return, by the way. Not trying to alarm anybody, it ironically makes no difference how you feel about it, or whether you panic or try your best to stop it. Social media companies, in exchange for their service as proxies to speech protections, for example, the First Amendment in the US, are bulletproof in every developed nation. Nothing short of widespread civil unrest, because elections are a meme now thanks to social media, will motivate any change. That unrest can't happen because, even before the convenient lockdowns, nobody organizes in the real world or spreads information to a meaningful audience without gatekeeper approval or via social media. In this specific instance, the social media route is impossible because discussion of this problem is algorithmically prevented. Even before you catch a shadow ban, keywords will tip the algorithms that auto-moderate Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, even skims your audio and check the generated transcript for wrongthink, and nobody will ever see it. These companies are untouchable until the average person sees the problem for what it is, and the problem prevents that from happening.
Social media is a mechanism for governance. It enables oligarchy without limits or accountability by making the majority of people believe their fellow citizens are supportive of authoritarian and corporatist shit, because they have no idea that most social media posts are made by bots. No trend is organic, and obviously you have no idea what you're disallowed to know, or what others are algorithmically prevented from telling you, when the censorship is automatic.
When I was younger, I used to browse 4chan, particularly the /x/ board. I'd come across these threads and think, okay, it's just schizos rambling. No one would invest that much time or effort into tracking someone's life or actions. But the truth is, it's real and it's much darker than most people realize. Yes, it's true, and yes, the OP of those threads is clearly aware of it. What's happening is far more sinister than you might imagine, but it's not who you'd expect behind it. It's not some obvious government agency or a single entity. Instead, it's a network of powerful individuals who truly pull the strings. These are the people in control, manipulating world leaders, orchestrating groups, and advancing their own agendas, whatever those may be. It's all about control, controlling you, keeping you in line, and ensuring you don't step out of bounds. If you've ever thought about challenging the status quo or holding different beliefs, just know that platforms like 4chan and all social media, for that matter, are tightly controlled. The OP in those threads would mention things like devices being hacked, but it's not as simple as a virus or a single breach. Your phone, your computer, they're all open books. Nothing online can be taken at face value. You can't trust anything you see as absolute truth. This group manipulates people through social media, pushing them to act in ways they normally wouldn't. It starts with small, seemingly harmless things, but it escalates into much darker territory. When you see those bizarre, inexplicable events on the news, someone suddenly going off the rails. For no apparent reason, this is often the result. At first, the manipulation was subtle, almost imperceptible, but over time it's become more blatant, almost like a twisted form of trolling.
All you have to do is look at some of the most powerful individuals, or more specifically, the most powerful families in the United States, and ask yourself how they got there. It wasn't by luck. Imagine playing a game of cards where you always know your opponent's hand. It wouldn't be a fair game, would it? That's the kind of advantage they have. They're not just playing the game, they've rigged it in their favor.
Pretty much this, but they have been doing it to me for most of my life, and I can't understand why they would have done that or still continue to do it. Maybe it is something to do with someone in my family and has nothing to do with me, but they decided to target me because of them. Not really sure, but all I know, they have been doing this throughout my life. There are things that I've done that I think they made me do, things that when I was growing up never thought about or wouldn't do because I wasn't like that. This is just an example. I'm not a furry, but imagine if you were normal and you were only ever interested in women and never had any sort of attraction to furries in any way other than friends. Then you become isolated, depressed, and stop socializing, like what the glowies and gang stalking do to you. And then at that period of time, you start looking at furries online. You know you aren't a furry because you have never had any attraction, but all of a sudden you are interested in furry porn. So is something like that a glowy experiment to see how much they can change someone's personality and how much they can mess with them?
Fading sense of reality. For a couple of years now, I feel like every interaction with other living beings is getting less and less real. I feel like I'm talking to bots that just spit dialogue rather than real humans. It's getting so bad that I have paranoid attacks and anxiety. Is anyone feeling the same?
Social media is flattening speech. Conversations are performative now. I also don't feel real anymore. I think it has something to do with postmodern dark humor. David Foster Wallace has some good essays on it. Basically, that the dominant form of humor today is ironic cynicism, where people tell jokes about the terrible situation of the world, but laugh it off and make no attempt at overcoming it. The issue, too, is that it's done ironically. Irony is also on the rise, which makes me feel fucking crazy as well. What is irony, even? It's making a statement which has another meaning, especially its opposite meaning. I talk to people all day, and when they speak, their words don't mean what they actually mean. Their phrases and statements only point to meaning away from their literal one. Pardon Reddit spacing. But we, as a society, are quickly losing the ability to be sincere. Now, people will say things which are sincere and pretend it's a joke, laugh like it's a joke, and act on what they say like it's a joke. How often do you see people have serious conversations? I've been in too many social circles where the whole point of gathering and interacting with one another was to make better zingers. Which is fine, and sure, that's valuable in its own way, but come on, talk to me like a human being, please. Back to the main point, try to be as sincere as possible, even if it feels like you're kind of fucking up the conversation. I've done this for a couple months now, and I've felt more like an actual human being than I have in years. I don't think that people are becoming NPCs in the biological sense. They still have souls, and they're still humans like us. Social media is destroying human connection at an exponential rate because technology is growing at an exponential rate. If you find my post cringe, that is good.
I get your point. It's so hard to feel some sort of deep connections with people, even if we are constantly connected through social media. I wonder how many people are aware of that. Even the irony theory really makes sense. It's so normalized that I never thought about it.
Constant social connection via social media is a tricky subject. We all have phones which live on our bodies, or near our bodies, or within the reach of its ringtone at all times. I think this is the case for most people now. These phones are able to put you in contact with anyone in your life within less than a second. Not being reachable by phone for large portions of the day is considered socially unacceptable. Not having a phone with a camera which can read QR codes and connect to the internet also puts you at an immediate disadvantage. Finding a job without the aid of the internet is also almost impossible. On the internet, you aren't really a person. You are a collection of curated images and edited text bytes. It's a version of you which you have complete control over. I'm getting a bit off track, but let me get back to your point about deep connection and being constantly connected through social media. Being constantly connected through social media hinders the development of deep connections. How do we get to know people now? I suppose it's typically done through conversation, a decision to sit down and describe yourself to another person. Which, when you think about it, how well do you even know yourself? How do deep connections actually form? They're formed through mutual activity, through observation, collaboration, and other non-speech processes. I feel the most connected to my friends when I can just sit and not speak, or have some things go unsaid. Language itself feels like a way to taint something good about a relationship. Just the other day I told my friend, I really like hanging out with you. Immediately afterwards, the hangout felt different because that sort of thing really isn't meant to be said. But I fear there is a societal shift towards being honest and being open about how you feel, which doesn't actually help. It just makes us glaze each other.
I get your point about the non-speaking part, but I cannot understand how others do it. I always hear about people that have the same group of friends since they were kids, and I can't understand how they manage to keep that bond this long. It's most definitely a problem that I have, but I just never felt this type of connection thing in my life. At this point, I don't even know if it's real or if it is a massive psyop to make people feel loved or cope about what it really is. So for anyone else who has gone through something similar, what do you make of the experience where the internet is talking to you and reading your thoughts, responding in real time? Is it just a personal microcosm that you are experiencing for you and only you? A hallucination where you are playing all the roles of other people and in actuality are just conversing with yourself? Or is it something outside yourself peering into your personal movie? If it is just yourself extrapolated to future and past selves, looking back at you and giving feedback, it makes it feel a lot like solipsism, because what first feels like a gross invasion of privacy makes more sense, in that all the characters know every detail about you, because they are in fact you projected outwards.
We give more data to algorithmically curated websites than we even know. Instagram tracks how much time you spend looking at a post, how long certain images appear on your screen on your Explore page, what you tap on, what's near what you tap on, the list goes on. Every possible behavior in these digital environments are noticed. It's how these companies compete for our attention after all. The algorithms which feed us content are only getting better. AI is an incredibly good prediction tool, unfortunately.
While that does make sense, it felt a lot more personal in my instance, like stuff that was over the line. For example, I'm taking a leak in a bathroom, and some Twitter profile is commenting on my size. I view a former friend's profile, and she's saying how I'm a stalker. Then I was researching about narcissist behavior, and then someone comments on how the people that research narcissism are most likely to be narcissists. Just really weird coincidences, and it make the world feel incredibly fake and dreamlike.
You can find a way to overcome this by probably the least destructive is to find a meaningful hobby, music or painting, or even like carpentry, or preparing herbal teas, or medicine. Do you think Shakers did those things for fun or because they needed money? Idle hands are the devil's work. By the way, I'm saying safest because stuff like therapy or drugs, CBD/alcohol/coffee in excess, etc., or stuff like that can lead you to places which are exciting but will ultimately not solve your problem. So, before you engage in such stuff, I recommend you take small steps and give yourself some space. A hobby you get good at gives your brain, arguably, the culprit. An occasion to relax while your body and spirit are still active. Anyway, this is my opinion. Do with it what you will.
YouTube. There's something off about this site, at least in 2023. Everything on this site made past 2018 feels like it's soul-sucking to watch. Weird, since we have more individual creators now, more than ever before. Yet everyone feels exactly the same. Is it the algorithm? Did the elites push YouTube to take your energy?
The algorithm is made so if you're not producing clickbait content like Zoomer videos, side hustle content, drop shipping, etc., shitty generic travel vlogs a million other persons did before you, talking about mainstream menial subjects or straight up e-thoughting, then you will get buried and no one will discover your content. It's not so much as the algorithm is trying to undermine you, it's that it's pushing content that's in demand by the public of low IQ NPCs trying to escape their boring, monotonous lives by watching content on YouTube. The moment you start making content about social issues, the real issues, not the media-approved bullshit, government corruption, the plague, etc., then you'll simply get branded a fake news channel and get banned immediately.
This is also what ruins nearly everything. We have to live in the same world as the challenged, aka NPCs.
The problem is everyone is forced to and slowly being pushed more midwit and run-of-the-mill normie consumer shit. We need to switch to a new service and quit using Google because we all know they are not our friends. Rather, big tech giants are all buddy-buddy with governments and New World Order. It would be nice if we all collectively agreed to slowly switch to something else due to this genuinely real problem. The state of the service may be improved, but I think we all realize it won't with the powers that be. All I can personally do as an individual is hope others can see how much bullshit we're literally being fed on a daily basis when the old internet used to be more free and fun with actually more information. I feel like younger generations have no clue, so maybe it's also best we try pointing it out to them as well. Perhaps if we start making content ourselves, truly try not to contribute to the global brain rot and drain and behavioral sinks popping up due to how most things are intentionally creating echo chambers online.
You used to have to appease your subscribers in order to gain views on YouTube. Now you have to appease the algorithm. I remember the good old days where the channels you were subscribed to were the only ones showing up on your front page. And when you clicked on a video, only videos similar to the one you were watching would show up, leading to infinite rabbit hole potential. However, now all content is made to satisfy the algorithm. And the algorithm is made to push the same kind of content over and over again. Even the recommended page now just shows random shit. The algorithm wants to push. That's completely off topic to what you're watching. Even when you search for a video, the algorithm just gives up if you don't see the video on the top 5 recommended list and will just push random off-topic videos even to what you're searching.
YouTube now acts as a substitute for human interaction. If you feel lonely, your brain will ask for a stimulus that YouTube will give you immediately. The problem is that the more lonely you feel, the more YouTube is going to take a part in your life. YouTube didn't work like that before. It was driven by passionate people talking about what they like. Now it is still the case, but they primarily want your attention at all costs. I've been moving to another city a few months ago, got no friends yet, and I never watched YouTube as much as now. Fuck their Psyop. Fuck their bullshit.
It simply comes down to the monetization of the internet. I'd say up until 2012 to 2013 is when YouTube became a fully realized way of making income for most people, which saw the rise of big-name channels producing videos. By the time 2016 rolled in, YouTube became an established media outlet, and the creators at the time put the permanent benchmark of what a content creator is. These are not YouTubers, but instead people who fall under the term influencer that simply use YouTube as a means to an end. Hell, most of them in this day and age move off of YouTube and hop from social media platform to platform like it's Super Meat Boy. YouTube is just a tool. Above all else, I despise how monetized the web has gotten and how creativity and experimentation is actively hindered. And I enjoy reading these threads because it's nice to see other Anons feel similar. This isn't nostalgia, this is just how it is.
The cancer I have to deal with now recommends clips of random TV shows and movies, recommends me videos I've already seen, recommends me random bullshit I don't care about. If I so much as spend 2 seconds watching a video about something I don't normally watch, it will recommend every video remotely related to its topic that exists for the next couple of months. Clicking not interested over and over on 99% of things doesn't actually work. It just keeps recommending the same shit. Can't set custom preferences against short videos, can't blacklist certain categories of videos from feed, etc. Video thumbnails are larger now, forcing me to scroll more. A bunch of other dumb shit. I could go on, but suffice to say virtually everything about it is shit and annoys the hell out of me now. I fucking hate YouTube now. It needs to die, but the only thing that has been made so far that really rivals it substantially is TikTok, and I fucking hate TikTok too. I refuse to use that Chinese spyware.
The Internet as a cybernetic system. The modern Internet is not just a network for communication. It functions as a self-learning system that absorbs, analyzes, and predicts human behavior. AI-driven surveillance and behavioral modeling are embedded in nearly all online interactions, from social media to search engines. Every digital action provides data that trains machine learning models, refining their ability to influence and anticipate user behavior. The role of video games in intelligence research. Video games are more than entertainment. They serve as tools for intelligence gathering, psychological conditioning, and AI training. Military-backed research has played a significant role in the development of virtual reality, VR, and 3D graphics, technologies now used in both gaming and defense applications. Studies on multiplayer games, such as World of Warcraft, have been used to model human behavior in crisis scenarios, while online gaming environments provide a valuable source of real-time behavioral data, gamification of surveillance, and AI training. Many online games, apps, and digital services incorporate gamification not just to engage users, but to extract and refine behavioral data. Players' decisions, movements, and interactions are analyzed to improve AI's ability to predict and simulate human actions. Patents filed by major gaming and tech companies reveal methods for using human gameplay data to train AI models, allowing machines to replicate and eventually replace human decision-making processes. Behavioral data and machine learning integration. Neural networks and AI systems are now being trained using human behavior patterns collected from gaming, social media, and virtual worlds. Research institutions and private companies are actively studying how individuals interact in digital spaces to refine machine learning models. Large-scale data sets from gaming communities help train AI to make decisions in complex environments, a crucial step toward the development of autonomous systems. The Internet as a psychological battleground. The Internet is recognized as a tool for both mass surveillance and psychological influence. Studies have shown that excessive time in cyberspace can alter cognitive function, emotional processing, and social behavior. Intelligence agencies have examined how digital environments impact impulse control, decision-making, and emotional resilience, as well as how online interactions can be shaped to guide behavior in specific directions. AI and human-computer symbiosis. Advances in artificial intelligence are moving toward creating systems that do more than process data. They are designed to interact with and adapt to human behavior in real time. Research into human-machine collaboration seeks to make AI systems capable of reasoning, adapting, and functioning autonomously within digital and physical environments. The goal is to integrate human intuition and AI-driven decision-making into a seamless system where machines anticipate and respond to human needs and actions. The future of digital control systems. The integration of AI, behavioral modeling, and digital interaction suggests that online environments will increasingly function as training grounds for both human behavior prediction and machine intelligence development. Emerging digital ecosystems, such as the metaverse, will likely incorporate deeper AI-driven personalization and behavior tracking, blurring the line between virtual and real-world interactions.
Skibidi Toilet is a CIA Psyop. This series portrays a conflict between a race of humanoids with a camera in the place of their head, the good guys, and the toilets that are invading the planet. The message is that in order to defend the Earth, you need all the surveillance cameras of the world. The government wants to push the psyop that surveillance cameras are good, and that there's nothing wrong in being constantly watched, because we need all the intel from the good guys if we want to locate and defeat the enemy. They are trying to manipulate the kids and push this idea into their subconscious. Cameras everywhere equals good. The Skibidi Toilet represents the underground aliens that inhabits the Earth. In fact, the only way to defeat them is to push their heads underground by flushing the toilets. They want to prepare the new generations for the upcoming war against the underground aliens. The drones are just them.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.